Do you need anything else from us?
The music you are listening to is Sequentia by Susan Alexandra, and it is your DNA set to music. Roberta, you are now a panelist. The entry in the chat, there's a typo, I did it, but just to let you know that we will be recording and we will be putting up some of these links to whatever is going on. We will be answering some questions that you guys have sent in. About 4 minutes till showtime. Great questions coming in. Thank you. One of the questions I would like to answer now, and it is, does the voice print tell you which musical notes need to be balanced, or is it based on frequency only? It gives you both. It gives you the frequency and the note, and we'll be doing a demonstration of that as we go along. This is just the beginning of sequentia again, in which you start with the amino acids that build the body, turn those into frequencies, look at what music it is, and then begin to put those notes together. In this case, it's the one note, and then it adds a second note, and then adds a third and a fourth, A, B, C, D. And from those notes, you can mix and match and make the other notes. So 2 minutes till showtime. Today is July 31st, and this is the day that calcium becomes active. From outer space coming to the earth, calcium becomes very sensitive and active. And that's one of the things that the COVID vaccines mathematically disturb. So calcium helps with your nerves, it helps with hormones, it helps with digestion, it helps with your mood. People usually don't like sequentia shut down harshly, so I'm just going to kind of fade it off in the background. Thank all of you for being here. The invitation was to the public and for everyone. We'll be talking about what is bioacoustics, what is vocal profiling, who is Sharry Edwards, why are we doing this, what are we going to offer to the public, and there's going to be a couple of drawings that we're going to do. So information first, so you know what's happening, and then we're going to do a demo. If you want to volunteer, we're going to be demoing the antidotes for the COVID vaccine. So just put that information in chat, and we'll make sure you have the right microphone and go from there. So this is more about how we want to provide tools and solutions to put self-health into your hands. We think health is very personal, and it should not be part of government intervention into your lives, but that's my personal opinion. There are many controversies out there. Just the fact that vaccines are good, vaccines are bad, which is it? We don't know. We don't know who to listen to. I'll provide tools today for you to know who you can listen to and who you can trust. But what's going on, the fact that there is this colossal controversy is enough to make you want to stand back and say, I need to find out what is really playing out here. Who's telling the truth? Who's lying? Who's manipulating? Who is just trying to get it over on us and make us comply? So you can tell which side of the fence that I'm on. Wait until you have enough information to feel very comfortable with the next steps that you want to do. I am Sharry Edwards, your host, and I in the past, didn't think the term Sharry Edwards meant anything. because I had a talent and I was just sharing that talent with people so that they could do the same things I can do. My ears and my voice are mutated so that I hear an otoacoustic emission from your ear. And we can teach you how to hear it also, and we will post some articles on the recording so that you'll be able to hear other people's otoacoustic emissions. Most people can't, and so that's why we completed the computer programs and the online workstation so all of you can do this. Like I said, I didn't used to think Sharry Edwards was of any importance, or the name Sharry Edwards, until a friend of ours who's written a couple of books on the Bible code said, Sharry, do you realize that your name is in the Bible code? And the Bible code is the first 5 books of the Bible put in mathematical strings. And then there's a code that you can pull out of that and tells you, for instance, about John Kennedy's assassination, Princess Diana's death, the world wars. It gives the future of the human race in this code, in the Bible code. They've tried to do the same thing with big books like War and Peace, and it doesn't work in the same way. So if you ever get a chance to look at the Bible code, there's several books on Amazon, it will really surprise you as to what is going on. More important is the research that we do at the Institute of Bioacoustic Biology here in Southern Ohio. And we have found people with similar traumas, illnesses, syndromes, whatever, toxins, have similar, if not identical, vocal anomalies. And we just did a project on Parkinson's, and we found a little known piece of information about Parkinson's, and we pulled all of our studies and graphs and vocal prints about Parkinson's, and we found this repeated in the people who come to see us at the clinic here, because we see the worst of the worst. What conventional medicine can't crack, we end up looking at. So the most important thing that we do is to look at the data that's contained in vocal prints. We put a microphone in front of your face, take a 30-second sample, and you'll be seeing some of that. And then we look at it and see what's going on, because we think the voice is a holographic representation of all that you are. And the voice goes through the vocal cords that's in the parasympathetic nerve bundle that goes to the brain, coming and going. The brain is like the central processing unit of the body, and then everything that's created in the brain by way of frequencies are sent on all of your neural network to move your leg or have a thought or move your finger. So the brain is mathematical. And there is an article we're going to put up about robots, about how we are very sophisticated robots. James Gates, James Gates, no relation to Bill, did a study with his students. He's out of Brown University, and they were doing a study in botany. They found computer code inside the DNA of plants, and they were looking for something about symmetry. So in what is going on with plants, they found a code that is a healing code for humans. And what we've been doing all along is looking at your DNA through your vocal print, through the frequencies of your vocal print. Then we figured out what the RNA of that is. The DNA is the code. The RNA is the protein that keeps the code. So we have been able to show that we can manipulate and change the body just using frequencies in the way of strength, bringing back vision, bringing back the ability to walk and talk of people who have strokes. It's pretty incredible what we have found. But like I said, we are looking for data. If you get well, that's your problem. So we're not FDA approved, because we cannot prove what we're doing. We can only prove the results. It's much like creativity. You can't prove that creativity exists. You can only see the pattern of what creativity can allow. You can see the product of creativity, but you cannot see creativity. So we look at the body in two ways. We look at all the frequencies that are coming from outside the earth, and we look at all the frequencies that are inside the body. And we do a lot of things with the body's frequencies. And one of the things that we have done recently that we're going to provide each of you a copy of is the tenets of math to support COVID survival. So we have cracked the codes of the spike proteins, and we are going to send this article to all of you so you can see what's going on. This is in a part of what we create called our soundhealthoptions.com. And when you go to soundhealthoptions.com, you can go to our homepage, and under extras, you can see all of the frequencies that NASA says is coming to the world, and you can see what we have put forth by way of what is happening based on that frequency. And for today, the 31st, it's carnitine and calcium that will be under stress. So these are just some of our classes. Also under Corona Corner, you can see the articles that we have written and the research that we have done about Corona. In 2019 of December, we put out information that showed mathematically that coronavirus is man-made. And then to go ahead and follow it up, we could see that it's going to affect calcium. And according to NASA, the frequencies that correspond to calcium are coming to Earth today. So there's a plethora of information about what we are researching, but also the classes. In the beginning, when I was doing my college work and my senior projects, I noticed in one class called Persuasion, I could tell when people were lying. And so I thought, I need to put that in a computer program because people have the right to know. So we have built classes so everybody can join us. The guest level is free, and we give you access to 2 computer programs, Nutrition and Muscles, so that you can work with people and charge them for your time and earn enough money to go to your technician classes, level 1 step up, where we teach you a lot more about frequencies and how to use them and how to use the formulations. And then even the professional level, which is really for doctors and wellness providers. We do have a catalog of all of this, and we will put that in for you in the link. But here are some of the classes. And best of all, at the end, there's about 50 tutorials so that you can look at this on your own and go to our portal, our soundhealthportal.com. And that is our sponsor. So Sound Health Portal, and you can do this on your own and take these classes. You can pretty much do all of it online. We know you're very, very busy. But the catalog link is also on Sound Health Options. So we look at humans, and we've just done a lot of this because of COVID and because it's messing up your iron And because 5G shows mathematically to be messing up your iron, that the earth has a core, and it has an iron core, and it has to stay stable for the earth to stay stable. You too have cells, and inside that cell there is an iron-based core. And so looking at some of the things that are happening to people who have had COVID or had the shot, it's really messing up their iron. So we put that into consideration. And so we're looking at that and giving people warnings under bioacoustically speaking. It's called the keynote. Here's the keynote for the 4th to the 10th of July. Insulin resistance is high this week. Fatty liver and stress, fat storage, lipase and diastase, carbohydrates. So you can see what is coming. So you can look at that at soundhealthoptions.com. We post it once a month by each week. We are sponsored by the soundhealthportal.com, and we're providing services, and a lot of these are free, so that you can go on to services, campaigns, and coronavirus and take a recording of your own voice and look to see if you have been, if spike proteins are a problem. In my case, I don't have the gene, although the gene's in there and it'll identify it, but I do have some of the spike proteins, which means I've been around somebody who's had a vaccine or has had corona, because even though I don't have the gene, I have some of the effects. So Gardasil, Parkinson's stem cells, biodiet, neuroplasticity. There's many that we do. We do try to do one, change it out every month and give you new information. Why are we doing this? Because there is a current healthcare crisis. Give you one example. I fell off a 2-story balcony on my head and neck. I broke my back, and in 3 places. And the doctor wrote me a prescription for a pain pill called Vimovo. We went to get it filled, and the pharmacist said that'll be $60. And we said, wait a minute. We have 2 insurance companies. Why are we paying such an enormous amount as a copay? He said, this prescription is $1,700. I called my friend in Canada. I said, how much can you get this for? She said $54. So with our $60 copay, we had already paid for the entire prescription. But then our insurance company turned around and billed the government under Medicare for $1,700. Now, if that isn't a big enough ripoff from the insurance companies, just wait. Vimovo is naproxen that's on the $4 list at Walmart, and another, it's not a sleeping pill, but it's a relaxer. The 2 together, they put in Vimovo, both of the medications that had already been tested and gone through FDA. You could buy the 2 of them and take them together and get exactly the same thing I could from this $1,700 prescription, and it only costs over the counter $24.99. Is that a ripoff? Absolutely it is. Standards of care are going down. We see this every day. We had a lady submit an application to be seen in our clinic. She had gone to 20-some doctors. She had extreme allergies. They couldn't find anything. Our computer program said leaky gut. The mucin that lines the gut is disturbed. And so everything's leaking into the gut, stomach cavity, and that's causing her allergy. They didn't find it. The computer found it from all the data that we put in. Forced vaccinations, and that's going on right now. I have another friend who works for a telephone answering service. She works at home. She's around no one. Nobody comes to visit her. Nobody supervises her. But her company is mandating that she get vaccinated, even though she works alone at home on her own computer, her own telephone. Dictated mandates, threatened pandemics, rationed care, and we're very concerned. Bloomberg said when he was running for president that the only way they're going to manage the budget is to ration care for old people. Irrational health care, lack of choice. We would like to have affordable health care, individualized attention, choice, options, health before money. I took what we had to a local person and said, look what we can do. We can help people who have gout. We can get rid of their pain. And this guy said, so you're showing me how to lose money because that's a large portion of my business. It's like, wrong door. Anybody that puts money before health, in my opinion, is a fool. You can have all the money in the world, but have cancer and be dying. You know, how much is your money worth to you then? Freedom and ownership of our own bodies. That's an important one. We'll be giving you some standards to things that you can do to help support that. Exploring these ideas is math as medicine. You have a broken arm, we can give you the frequencies to help the bone mend really quickly. We don't know how it happens, we just know the frequency has an effect. BioAcoustics is not medical. We don't say, oh, you have migraines, let us help you cure them and give you a pill. We had one lady who came here who had serious migraines. They gave her migraine medication that caused an ulcer. For the ulcer, they gave her other medication. But when we looked at it with her vocal print, the computer said, this is a muscle in her neck. And sure enough, we gave her the frequencies to relax the muscle, and it worked. BioAcoustics is not musical. You heard music at the beginning, your DNA set to music. I think the mathematics of our DNA is how our music was created. We are creating music in our own image. So looking at this, BioAcoustics is mathical. It's based on math. And if we can give you a frequency and control your body's pain or healing potential, then math is the basis of the universe, and it is, you see it. And we are math-based carbon robots, especially when you consider that James Gates has found mathematical code in DNA. The first thing that I created, I was in an undergraduate in interpersonal communication, and I noticed that we got a lot of information from how people spoke to us, whether they were lying or they meant what they were saying. And so I created the first computer program called NanoVoice, Little Voice. We gave it away for years, and we are going to give away more of them from the people who are here. We're going to draw names and let you know. You can also have NanoVoice for free on soundhealthportal.com, but we are going to give you NanoVoice that you can use on your own computer and not have to go through the portal. We notice, and we're able through trial and error to look at all the octaves that people spoke, and we were able to see in what mode they were speaking. Were they in a control mode, an emotional mode, a naive, fantasy? We call this non-reality or omnipotent range. So depending on where your voice lays down on this matrix, this grid tells us a lot about you. And it tells us your perspective and what's going on. This is Jerry Sandusky, and we were asked to look at his voice. Was he guilty of molesting little boys in the locker room at Penn State. And I will put all of these links. Whoops, I went one too far. I'll put in all of these links for you as soon as I can move something over and get the link. And I'll put these in the chat, and I will also put them in the recording that we're going to put up on our site so that you can go back and look at all of these. So you can see he has a strong foundation, a little jump up from control, but there's a split here from this octave to this octave. And the word that he spoke when the split happened was horseplay. So he just thought this was horseplay. He didn't see it as anything sexual. So then there's two empty octaves and another octave up here in fantasy where he has 252 as a score. 42 is normal. Now, we have a class, a free class. We'll put the link up for you so you can learn to do this and to interpret each one of these things. You have the right to know if your spouse is lying, your kids are lying, your government. In this case, it was a criminal, somebody accused of a wrongdoing. Did he really do wrong? He thinks not. Did he really do the deed? Yes, he did. And vocal profiling showed us that he was guilty by this big empty spot. Because we don't know right now who to trust. Everybody's giving us a different story. I encourage you to use the NanoVoice to do a recording, and there's a special way to do a recording so it doesn't go through the ear. If you have a politician and you're playing their recording, use a cable, sound in and then sound out and sound right back in to the NanoVoice, and you'll be able to listen to their words and create a grid and know who's lying to you. This is Biden about going door to door. His foundation is weak. It does not even come up to 42. You look at control octave 60. C sharp is justice. So he wants to control, but really feels it's for justice. The note of C is about ego, 54. So controlling through his ego is what's going on here. He also has a lot in naive. Even he does not believe what he's saying. He's putting out somebody else's information in the hopes that he'll get away with it. They're going to push till you stop him, like a 2-year-old. Here is a normal voice of somebody who's telling the truth. This is Gwen Olson. She wrote a book called A Prescription Drug Pushers. Don't remember the whole title, but it's about legitimate drug pushers that go out and sell drugs to doctors. And she was so good at her job that they put her in charge of other people and started training her to train others. And she got so disgusted with them because they claim that she had to get babies vaccinated on the very first day of life so that the drug companies, the bottom line here, the drug companies would have a lifelong customer if they could get them on drugs at an early age. And Gwen quit. She's now in hiding. Her book is available on Amazon. Olson, maybe it's S-E-N. It's S-E-N. About a legitimate drug pusher and what was really going on. I find that despicable that the drug companies knew that if they get these kids on vaccines, it would compromise their health to the point where they could have somebody as a customer on their drugs for the rest of their life. I just think that's incredible. So we look at all the notes, C, C sharp, D, and each one of them has a designation, And this was part of my senior project. People speaking, what they were speaking about, and what it really meant. And then we did a comparison of all of these things. In this case, you can see G is the weakest note. G is about physical safety. Physical space is an issue. The highest one is D sharp, and it's about spreading information for the betterment of mankind, we hope, but there's a lot of people out there spreading information that isn't for the betterment of mankind. And using this computer program, you can catch them. So here's also a chart, and I will put this in the chat so you can go in and pull this down. In our free course, all of these charts are being made available to you so that you can use them. And I would encourage you to go together as a group and study a person or a vocal print and make your own conclusions. But we have advanced books for this so you can learn to do it. You really know, you just don't trust that you really know. There are many ways to measure the frequencies of the body. CAT scans, laying on of hands healing. We're just doing one or two methods. When we do the NanoVoice, it's about the notes and only the notes in your voice. When we do it by frequency, we can get very, very specific because there's a big range. Like A is 440, but it's also 438 and 442, 338. There's a big range. And we found that if we look at biochemistry, that we need to be very, very specific about what is going on. We also know that we have to be very logical, linear in what's going on. You can see the yellow here, that's a note of E, but it means intellectual. And in this case, he's very much, his energy and his voice is in justice, C sharp. And the blue is emotional, G sharp, physical safety, carrying out physical safety, feeling safe, doing things that will make other people safe. But where he lacks is here in the middle. And in the middle is true words, true important information, F having a plan, and F sharp carrying out a plan. So he may have other people's words in his voice, or he's duplicating other people's words. That's the yellow. But he doesn't have the plan to make it work. He's just sort of pushing through, trying to see what's going to happen. We know that whoever can control your ideas, your perceptions, and your health will control the quality of your life. And we want this to be you. That's why we're trying to provide the tools and solutions for you to be able to create sound environments. Sound environments in your home, sound environments in your body, sound environments for your community. If it's 5G, is it causing a problem? What is really going on with what's happening? We also know that we can create sound environments in your relationships. You ever been around somebody that you just want to talk to and wanted to touch them? Maybe you're married and you kept yourself from doing it. They are probably completing some frequency. Maybe you don't have enough F. And F is male sexuality. C and B is female sexuality. So maybe they have your missing notes. And we have a computer program that helps you find your perfect mate. There's a whole hour show about it on Vimeo, Vimeo, just under my name, Your Perfect Mate. We have 400 or 500 different demonstrations there for you to look at what you want to find out about yourself and also about the person that you plan to spend time with. So we created these because people ask for them more than anything else. I'm having trouble with my mouse here. So in perfect mate, you can see this person lacks the note of D. And here comes ancient stuff into this. The note of D is assigned to Gemini. So if you have a lot of D, chances are you're a Gemini, or one of your notes is a strong Gemini, because you have too much of Gemini. Also is the liver frequency. So you would be attracted with somebody with the note of D. You would be repelled by somebody that's F sharp, G, or G sharp, because they don't have any and you have very little, so you'll be attracted to them. We are attracted to people and situations, scenarios, and behavior based on what frequencies we need for our body to make our body perfect. And I think the perfect body is 0 electrically, because with these frequencies comes electricity, and it has a frequency to it. So you can use this computer program or join us on a demo to really look at what's happening. Here's some of the printout of what it says. It not only takes your voice, but it evaluates it and gives you a printout. Your high self-approval may intimidate potential partners. Introduce, stand back, and let them come to you. So it gives you information about who you are and what's going on with the person that you're attracted to. We need more teachers and trainers to take this on the road and teach it to communities, because how many people get divorced nowadays? Over half, because they don't know what they really want. They haven't challenged what they really want. Mostly they just don't know. And if you look at your voice, you can tell what's your strength, what's your weaknesses, what are you looking for in a partner, and that's what we want for everybody. Because we know that bioacoustically speaking, your body has the ability through the voice to self-diagnose and to reorganize according to that information. And we try to gain that by listening to music. Give me more frequencies in the note of D. Let me know what I need to be around, what color, even what country, so that your body is getting the frequencies that you need to help it reorganize. You ever been around a refrigerator that just made a noise that drove you crazy? You probably already have too much of that noise, that frequency in your body. Mine's our lawnmower. I cannot stand to be around the sounds of the lawnmower at home. I have to leave home. It just makes me nervous, makes me upset, makes me jittery. So we can do a lot. We know what's going on. We've created these classes for you and a catalog for you so that you can do it too. And we have classes every week that you can elevate your information of what you want to do for your family and your community. We put a microphone in front of your voice. We evaluate what it says. We create the formulas for you, and we give you back information in a little tone box. Now, digital is very good for pathogens, but this is an analog tone box. And this is a lady from a TV show. I was speaking at the University of Cincinnati, and there was a TV crew there, and I made a statement. We'd just done a big project on fibromyalgia, and they asked me to do it on the air. We did. This lady had like a 7 to a 9 pain level, and by giving her the frequencies that were causing the problem, and in her case it was Pitocin. They had given her Pitocin 16 years earlier for the birth of her twins. That was to instigate labor, and the Pitocin had not dissolved from her body, and it was still in there causing problems. We gave her the antidote on TV live, about 4 minutes, took her down to nearly no pain, and then after the show had her running up and down stairs, something she could not do before. We change people's lives. Let me find it, this one. Good vibrations. I want you to watch this. It's only 3 minutes long and I cannot see it here. Well, I will just take this link so you can watch it. And one of the things I want you to notice, I don't often say that, I just think you can pick up everything for yourself.
Illness could be described, and has been by many, that it is dis-ease. Body out of harmony with itself.
I have a daughter who was tested with an IQ of 75, who had no future. The schools told me she had no future and no potential. She was sick the first 4 years of her life with allergies. Then she started having seizures. Then it led into learning disabilities. It just kept getting harder. In second grade, I remember asking her teacher, "Is there something wrong with Nicole?" "Nothing's wrong with Nicole. She's just a little bit slower than the other kids." In the meantime, as everyone else her age was reaching puberty and starting to turn into obnoxious teenagers. Nicole is not an obnoxious teenager. She's still very much a little girl, and she loved Disney stuff. And
this picture,
she still believed in Santa Claus. So we took her to Sound Health Institute in Ohio to meet with Sharry Edwards. They did a voice print of her, and by analyzing this voice print, we're able to find out everything that was wrong with our daughter. The vibrations of the voice are recorded on this voice print. And her voice told them what was wrong with her. Every one of these things, they would just double click with the arrow and it would pull up a frequency. That frequency could be matched to the frequency of enzyme, a virus, a muscle, something like that. It would reveal it by that frequency. And the cure for it, they gave her sounds that she listened to on a consistent basis, and these sounds were able to cure her.
This is about vibration and entrainment. So we put the sounds in the air that go through the skin, through the nerves, and back to the brain, and it changes the brain.
So you have 14x equals 60 divided by 14 divided by 14, and x equals 4.3.
The most exciting thing is, of course, she's been diagnosed with an IQ of 75. And last year she failed algebra. I mean, she just failed it. She tried so hard and she was just so clueless. And she got a D and F in every single test she took the whole year. So this year she's repeating algebra. And so this is her report card. So she got a 3.4. A B- in algebra. An A in English, a B in biology, an A- in world study. Oh, no. Isn't that wonderful? You know, she's, "Mama, I'm starting to get algebra." And now I have a daughter who's very normal, who can look forward to the normal things in life of college and marriage and jobs and wonderful things, wonderful normal things.
There are many who are greatly helped by simply bringing things into a greater harmonic vibrational state. The case of Nicole is a very, very strong evidence of that. And because those frequencies are getting realigned, she's moving ahead.
This was a doctor referral. Failure to thrive was the diagnosis. You can see the little girl in blue, she looks to be about 10. The one in the white looks to be about 13, 14. These were 3 months apart from the end of the 8th grade, the beginning of the 9th. The computer says her growth hormones have kicked in, but her body cannot use them. We were able to, with frequency, and we monitor her closely, to look at what was going on with her body. We changed her life. She's finished college now. In all 4 years, she was on a dean's list almost every time, every quarter. And she now has become a teacher for children who were like her. It changed her life. Be careful when you're doing this online. that make sure you have a good microphone. If you try doing this on your cell phone, some cell phones are okay and some aren't, but it can be garbage in, garbage out. So be careful when you do this for people, for yourself. We do 2 different kinds of vocal prints. The frequency one, this yellow up and down you just saw in that demonstration of what it's like to have an appointment. And then the bottom one is time domain. In time domain, How Now Brown Cow gives you 4 hits and it tells you what note it's in. With the frequency domain, it gives you 0 to 1,000 and I think 32 cycles per second, the whole vocal range. And each of these ups and downs and strings tell us something else. And we can do it from a very, very early age. This is Jocelyn. She was hypolexic, meaning she did not create speech. She would say something like, Jocelyn, would you like me to turn on the light? Meaning she just echoed what her mom said to get the light turned on. She's very smart. She could read and she could tell you every word. They told me she could read the Wall Street Journal and I didn't believe them. So I wrote out, Mary had a little rabbit, home, home on the chicken coop. And every time she'd come to the wrong word, she'd pinch her little finger. The computer says, and this is her at age 6, the computer said that she had a problem with DPT shot. And so we detoxed her with a program called pre-vaccination risk factors. And she's now finished college. She's a linguist. She's an interpreter. She's a brilliant interpreter, speaks like 6 or 7 languages. Think how we changed her life. Look at before and after. This is a little kid that was poisoned with formaldehyde. He was clumsy. His grades were bad. We detoxed him from the formaldehyde, and look at how his vocal print showed up. It became much more coherent. In his case, they had moved into a new trailer and did not outgas it, and he was being poisoned with formaldehyde. The computer picked it up. The computer was able to tell us what was wrong. One of the very first doctors to align with us was John Apsley, and he brought us a little girl. I think she was 5 or 6. She had Down syndrome, and she couldn't even jump up off the ground. We were able to give her the counter frequencies for Down syndrome, and later she was in the Special Olympics in gymnastics. And he says that what we have done, and he says this without knowing what we do, defines and demonstrates a unifying field theory that defied Einstein. Now, I didn't tell him that we use one of Einstein's theories and that we have upgraded it, but he knew, he could see it and what was happening. He's working now on projects on regeneration, and we do have stem cells and regeneration and anti-aging that we can look at people. This is very, very ancient, and it's the spectrum from esoteric to science. This is Luke 6:45 in the Christian Bible. A bad man may imitate the voice of a good person, but the evil in his heart will certainly vibrate in his pretending voice. And that's exactly what we are doing. We're looking at people's pretending voice and telling you what they are saying in a manner that's trying to manipulate you and to do something their bidding instead of something that is perfect and good for you. We're also in the second coming of Christ, page 661. The vibrations of the heart reverberate in the vibrations of the voice. I think that's incredible. They knew this in ancient times, and somehow we forgot it. We are in lots and lots of books, 32 of them, about helping people know this and learn this. We are in the definitive guide of alternative medicine. We are in Health on the Edge by Larry Travieri. Actually, we're a whole chapter there. So ancient as well as science is coming together to make this a reality. Jill Mattson wrote a book about me, and it was embarrassing because I didn't want the work to be about me. I wanted it to be about the work and what it could do for the community and the world. But Jill points out, Sharry, you come from Appalachia, living in a corn crib when you're young, no electricity, no running water. If you can do this and you can bring a new reality of health to the world, this book gives everyone hope that they can do the same if they have an idea. So what can we do by breaking the sound barriers of disease? And I'll try to go quickly through this because I want to leave a lot of time for questions and a demonstration. Do we have anybody who will volunteer? Please put that information in the chat. This is a trauma case. This is a doctor who came to us and they said, get your things in order, go home and die. They said he had MS. The computer said he had damage to his spine. He said, no, not possible, didn't do that. A couple of days later, he came back. He did have trauma to his spine in a skiing accident. And we were able to help him regrow his nerves from the waist down. Impossible. But here is the lab test to show that this is true. He's up walking now. He does have some stiff man syndromes. He's now moved to another state way away from us, so I don't see him very often. But improvement of the recruitment of nerve volume, impossible, doesn't happen. He also came to us later. He'd been in a car accident. Now he's a doctor in an emergency room, and the airbag exploded in his face and hurt his little finger till he couldn't bend it. He said, you don't think you could do anything about that, do you? And I said, I don't know, let's try. We gave him the frequencies for his little finger, and then he could bend it. Took about 10 minutes. But the best thing it said in his vocal print was he has troponin as something very high. And troponin is an indicator of heart damage. I said, did they check you for heart damage? He said, no. So they check your wife? He said, no. Both of them had troponin in their charts. It was a signal that nobody had even thought to look at. And we've done a lot with fibromyalgia. We have videos of this one. Anybody wants to see it? Anybody associated with fibromyalgia? And from the study of using this lady's voice, we've been able to create 2 public tone boxes that help people deal with fibromyalgia. We also found out there's 2 different reasons for fibromyalgia. One, inability to process iron, and another one, inability to process pyruvate and lactic acid. So it's not just one thing that's going on with these people. We've put a video together, Miracles of Non-Medicine, and you can have a copy of that. Let me get the link for you. This was done by a professional. I'm getting the link. We'll also put this link with the recording so you can go back and look at it. This is Bob Bethel. He's an attorney and an engineer, and he's playing tennis in our old backyard tennis court. He had a trauma to his leg. He dumped his motorcycle at an intersection underneath a big truck that had an eye bar, and his leg went up under it and skinned off the bottom of his leg. And we found him about 1.5 years later in the grocery store, him dragging that leg around. So they took meat out of his back, bone out of his hip, and skin from his leg, and they rebuilt the leg. This is what the computer program said we need to work on, these muscles. Notes of A, peroneal muscles, lower ankle. looks a little different now. There's a really old computer program. But this is what his legs look like now. It's not swollen. It's become a leg. It transformed itself from a back muscle to a leg muscle. And he's out playing tennis again. And he said, Sharry, if you can fix my leg, I'll work for you forever, because he's an attorney too, for free. He now is a tennis coach and coached one of the tennis players. I don't know if she went to Olympics or not, but she's very, very high ranked. So this is a way we can put back a trauma that's happened to the body just by knowing and providing the right frequencies. And we do it with a tone box that is an analog tone box. One of the things that has happened is that money has become much more important than fixing people. These are two people who had strokes. We were able to help Linda come back from not being able to speak, and Hector from not being able to think or even say his ABCs. So we know we can do this, and we want to put a group together that can go out and help just stroke victims. These are just two. We've done many, many. So I did a book and a video with people about the business of disease and how it's much more about money in their pocket than your health. So we're trying to provide the tools and solutions for your health. I gave you some examples. Alzheimer's is a big one. This is what an Alzheimer's vocal print looks like. You see these high stalks? This is brain issues. This is Biden's vocal print. Alzheimer's. Actually, his is vascular Alzheimer's. Some of the other things we've worked with. This is Robin Williams, and I was on a radio show the day after he committed suicide, and I already looked at his print years before, and I said, I don't think it was depression. I think he had dementia, some kind of dementia, and it looks like Parkinson's dementia. Lewy proteins cause Parkinson's dementia. Lewy proteins are environmental toxins. So I was on this show and I made my announcement to the world, and they just kind of laughed at me. It was kind of a panel. And this was in August. Then in, I think, November, they came out with, he really did have Lewy body dementia. And he also had a problem with using GABA. That's what made him so zany. So we maybe would have, if we'd had him in our lab, we maybe would have been able to help him not be forced to the point of committing suicide. That's another project that we would like to do. This is what a Lewy protein looks like under a microscope. We do use our quill microscopy here, but this is not our picture. We did this simply by the numbers. Math as medicine. This is his actual vocal print, and you can see B is nerves, and he's really thinking a lot about it. It was on his mind, so there was disturbance in the nerve system, the brain in his case. This you can tell about emotions. This is Chris Bell, who played Batman, and he was yelling and screaming on the set at somebody who walked in front of a mic, and he used, I think, the F word like 54 times. If this had really been emotional, it would have been all blue. It's green. It's for a purpose. He did that stunt for a purpose. It was nothing more than a publicity stunt. And so you're able to see where people are coming from. I'm going to hurry through some of this because we're running out of time here. We did a whole link on Jerry Sandusky and was able to tell what he was lying about. This is Lisa Fayed, who said, children in high school should be able to get the Gardasil shot and not tell their parents. And we, the school, should not have to tell their parents either. Now that's happened in DC now with the COVID, but in her case, she was nothing more than a reporter, and her voice showed this great big void. And you'll learn when you take the class, the void means they aren't leveling with you. And you can see it's all emotional in her case. There was another guy, Bill Blaxell. His is almost all the way through filled up. It's red. It means for the future. He's a parent. And he said, no school should have the right to give my child a shot that could kill them. And they were talking, or maim them. He's talking about Gardasil. So again, looking at a campaign that's being shoved at you, see if the people are telling the truth. The state of your health can be found in the sound of your voice. And I think we have proven it. A lot of people think we've proven it because 5 different companies have filed patents on our stuff. I deliberately left it so it can be free for humanity. I started this in '82. My first papers were in '82. We have them all. We have a bunch of stuff for a museum. Here's another that said we developed this in '82. All of their patents are recent. We can defeat every one of them. This is something that we did in 2000. This is a bacteria that's being attacked by, we think, chlamydia pneumoniae. See this ring around it? This is dark field microscopy. I looked into the microscope because my ears and voice are mutated. I got the sound. I started doing the sound to the slide. The woman whose blood it was in another building. And after about 5 minutes, 8 minutes here, you can see that this cloak, and this cloak is just protein debris that the body's not been able to digest. The bacteria put it around itself so it could hide. Here's the little killer cell. And you can see once the cloak comes away, the killer cells come and devour the bacteria. 8 minutes. We published this in 2000. Last year, 2 years ago in August of 2020, we published an article about 5G because it was so similar in what we were seeing under the microscope. The most incredible thing we were able to see is when we took blood again from this woman. In her case, her blood was still alive in her body, and we're doing this from a slide. The blood in her body reacted the same way. That is absolutely incredible. What does this say about what we're really able to do with frequency? Go inside the body. Could we just use blood and treat the blood and cure people? I don't know. We are just beginning to look. We don't know how this happens, and I think Heinlein said this. Any technology which is sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic. And yes, it is. And that's what we'd like you to be involved with some of the computer programs that we have done. This is in, I think this is in one of our starter classes where you actually get the software to do these things, or we give you access to the software. And our lawyers make us say this, that this is not medicine. We are just looking for data. And I think that's absolutely true. I say I'm looking for data. If you get well, that's your problem. And we do keep track of when people get well, get stronger. They can breathe better, the people that we've helped with COVID. We see what happened to them, but we don't claim we did it. We claim their own body did it. The body has the ability to heal itself, and that's what we're tapping into. So why are we providing this opportunity? to provide hope. I think people are really bewildered as to what to do and who's going to come along. And that's not going to happen in the US, but it is happening. Nobody's stopping it, but you can. So we're going to give you some information about how to do that and how to become involved, to provide choice. You don't have to be in pain. You don't have to be able not to walk or to have a disease. We think we can help your body heal you. To facilitate change, a biggie is that we're able to look at why bones and muscles are deteriorating in space flights. We have the frequencies for that. So if they're worried about there's too many people on the earth and they can't go in space because people can't stand the flight, we have the frequencies to help them, to help keep us all safe and alive. And that is so pertinent right now, to keep us all healthy and to create a better system. Math as medicine is math of the future. Here's a way to stay in touch with me, Sharry Edwards at gmail.com. Oh, I don't even know what this is. As a result of the course of action taken by members of the AMA to secure a position as top dog, consumers like you are forced to pay out of pocket for services that could keep you well or heal most of your chronic conditions. If you think that doesn't concern you, think again. According to statistics provided by www. Wrong Diagnosis, December 12th, 2008, 90 million people in the US, approximately 1 out of 3, suffered from some kind of chronic disease. 22 million suffered heart disease, 16 million Americans have diabetes, 61,000 cases of cardiovascular disease, 51 million suffer from hypertension, 7.4 kidney disease. This is a lot. Our health is going downhill, and I think we could help. Tens of millions are taking drugs they don't need for conditions they won't cure. Why? Because doctors are being paid to overprescribe. Not all doctors. There's a lot of wonderful doctors out there fighting for your health, and they are being offered a lot of money and they're not taking it. You can see them on TV. There's one with the guy's name is David Martin, and it's on BitChute. It's wonderful. We want to make history by creating the future. And these are some of the things that can be done that we've put out. Don't allow yourself to be separated or divided from your group or family. Abandon fake media and platforms. Evaluate evidence, truth, and justice. Make sure your voice counts. Insist on election fairness. Support those who cannot be bought but could be silenced. Honor truth as a rule of law. Work to get your children back in school. Evaluate local leaders. Know your rights. We have this on a card and we also have it on a poster. We can get you copies of that if you want. Just write to me at that sharryedwards@gmail.com. I think we can make a difference with color and sound much more than we can make a difference with medication. People have to take medications. I just read about a lady that they were charging $57,000 a year for her medication, and it was awful what was going on. Their son couldn't help her any longer. She couldn't get help from the government. $57,000 for a pill. Remember Vimovo, the one I was taking? You really could have bought it off the shelf for about $25. So what I would like to do now is have a volunteer that would give me their vocal prints so that we can go on the Sound Health portal and show you kind of how this works. Roberta, I already have you up in the staff. Would you like to volunteer Roberta is the teacher of our advanced courses, and she was on here with us. Let's see, she's still there. You're still
I'm here.
Great. Okay. So I'm going to open Audacity. Now you can do this online, but I can't do it online while I am doing a project, a program. So Audacity is free, and it's in the instructions in our guest course. And I'm wondering why this is not coming up. It's saying, please wait, which is weird. The system detected another copy already open. Okay. I didn't know a copy was running. Let me check that. There it goes. Okay, Roberta's going to talk to me for 30 seconds. Roberta, have you been exposed to the COVID? Because that's what I want to use.
I'm not sure that I've been or not,
Okay.
but I
Well,
have been around other people and
well, you may have the spike proteins, but not necessarily the gene. So here's the timer. All the instructions are in our courses and demonstrations and the videos, the tutorials. So I'm going to hit the red button, and she's going to talk for 30 seconds about whether or not she's been exposed or thinks she's been exposed. You ready?
yes, I'm ready. Okay, I've been around some people and some large groups of people for family events, and I have been in close contact with those who have had the vaccine, and I'm not sure if I've had any recent responses from any of the spike proteins, but I think I did previously when I was in very close contact with someone else. So the shedding issue could have been an issue with some of the physical things that I had happened shortly thereafter.
Okay, I let it go for 32 seconds, that's fine, 30, 35. And I'm not going to save it, I'm going to export it as a wave. All these instructions, I've set it up so we do waves online. So I have to give it a distinct name. Then I am going to go to Sound Health Options. Or Sound Health Portal, sorry. Now we'll be doing some stuff here. You'll be going to services, campaigns, Corona conflicts, and doing your recording. But in my case, since I can't do it that way, I'm going to do it separately and go into my subscription for the Sound Health Portal. And everybody has their own cache. And it keeps your clients for you so you can do comparisons. And I think Roberta is already here. We are doing a class also just for the portal. Roberta online, we could do that. So I have to open that new voice file and I have to go find it where I recorded it. There it is. It brings it in. And you can look at it if you want at this stage. You can look at it, looked at every template we have. And so we can go look at what the summary is. Ammonia. Adiponectin. Adiponectin deals with muscles, deals with a diet, deals with the use of glucose. So you can see 6.3s, those are about equal, but they're not equal in length, meaning one of the databases is bigger. 6.1, 2 out of 33 and 1 out of 16, conjunctivitis. So that's one thing you can look at. You also are available to look at bio bundles. And I find this is the best thing for doctors. They want to see, let's look at aging. Not that you're old, you're young and beautiful, but it tells us what's going on here of any of the aging templates. 1.1 arthritis, 2.6 a head injury or hearing inquiry, memory 3, so 3 out of 99. So we can say, well, let's look at what's going on with memory. Ghrelin, which is another diet thing, a hunger indicator, and glutamine receptor. So we can look at what's really going on as root cause. If there's a vascular issue, we can look at that. Glutamic acid. Glutamic acid, glutamine, and glycine sort of pitch hit from one another. But you can see here why somebody has trouble with aspartame. In this case, she has glycine and glutamic acid really low, and that helps detox the body. And aspartame, which shows us probably behind this, that's one of the things that doesn't allow, because it's chemical, doesn't allow the glycine to get into the cell receptor so the body can use it. So a couple of things to look at there. You can look at up to 10 different databases at a time, even at our guest level. So we're going to save and continue. Now we have to read her file. Evaluations, and this is where it's going to show us all those up and down squiggles. It's showing us the wave, and this is the beginning. Now this is too low. I was using a Samsung microphone, but it may be that's coming through this electronic stuff that's kicked it low. So -1, and she has 3 really lows, -2 and -3, +1, +2, +3. This is the now portion of your body. So if she has any issues, it's with metabolism. So we can say to the computer, pick the points. Now we used to teach you how to pick all these points. You still can take that old course, but we have the computer doing it all for you. So it did not pick these 2. I don't like that. I want to pick these 2. Because I think that's really important range. This is what we teach you in class, how to go through all of this. And I think I did not kill the frequencies here, and I should have done that. I am going to go up here and look at her frequencies. I need to save and wave GNS. Save and close. Okay. And then that's supposed to give me a new evaluation, which I will bop open here in a second. Oh, I forgot to show you that I must choose a template. And in this way, we're going to choose a Corona template. Corona conflicts. And push OK. But I have to come up here to do some of the rest of it, and I'll come right back. So I'm going to open that. And it's opening with the notes, but I have to get rid of the frequencies because legally I am not allowed to show those in public because people could do weird things with them. So we keep them hidden, but we reveal those to the advanced courses. So instead of you having to make choices about whatever's going on, it gives you a choice. The relevance here is 22. That's the highest relevance, and it says T12, the back, lumbar L2, whatever this genome is, NLRP3. Function recognition receptor. Well, one of the things we can do, because we put all this in here so you don't have to look it up, is just click on it, and it takes you to a database where you can look everything up. So there's lots of those in there, all of these different references. But what we want to do is see if she has been exposed to any spike proteins. And she has NSP10, and I already know what that frequency is. It's 1687, I'm pretty sure. But we're going to go through here. I had to take the frequencies out for other things. But NSP4, let me write that down. NSP10, NSP4. I don't see the gene. ORF10, so that's 3 spike proteins. NSP11, but I don't see the gene at all in here. And what we want to do is go back to the file I had open, Sequentia Saturday. Okay. We have the article, and this article is also on the Sound Health Options. And we will put this with the recording, or you can go to, let's just do that to make sure you have it. I cannot read these little teeny, need the glasses. I'll just go look for it. soundhealthoptions.com. Go to Corona Corner. And you can find this article here that we are going to talk about. But I just have it in a raw stage right now. So let's just take one. She has NSP10. So this is what some of the spike proteins do. She has NSP10. So here are the antidotes for NSP10. Now you need to go to because it gives this to you online tone generator. Now this is a digital generator, which is best for pathogens, for killing pathogens. And you want to go to binaural beats and then take those 2 frequencies. I don't know why that came up. Okay, so from NSP10, we want to use 7468 on one side and 111.88 on the other side. Why is it giving me something called a vignette? Maybe some advertisement. An online generator, use binaural beats, meaning you want to do 2 frequencies. And it's the distance between these frequencies that your brain is going to kick in and do some work with your brain. I have never had this happen before. All this garbage coming up. So 74.68 and 111.88. And you can say play. I don't know if you can hear it here, but I can. What your brain does is take these two and subtract them, and then take these two and add them, and the distance between and the average of stimulate your brain. And we have just figured out what these formulas are. And this particular article is available. You can wait for it and for the recording, which is going to happen directly after this, or you can just go here and to the bottom and said continue reading and pull this article down now. And it has all this information in it. This is all also published in Masters of Health magazine. We have a column there. So this NSP10 is going to affect spike proteins associated with mood, immune system, and free radicals. And we have done this from extrapolation. We've been putting these out for 10 or 11 years and helping people over swine flu and bird flu and whatever the CDC puts out for that year that they think is important. We've picked it up and decoded all of it and provided frequencies. And you can find those on Vimeo under Sharry Edwards, and just put in flu and you can find the other ones that we've done. So we went to Audacity. I need a drink. I have the hiccups. We went to Audacity. We took a 30-second vocal print, and if you have a good enough phone, you could do this over your phone. If you have a landline, the cell phones aren't much good, but you could do it for your neighbor. You don't have to come in contact with somebody that you think they may have COVID already. You can go looking for what they've been exposed to. The COVID is actually a protein variant. It looks like the same gene from what I've done. It's just a variant of the proteins, and that's what we've decoded here when we look at this article. For what each of these are. What I like about this also is you can look at, she has NSP11 and ORF6. You can go look at what each of these do. That's not in that one. So how could that happen? It just disappeared right in front of my face. Let me go back and open it from the original. ORF6, there's the antidote. NSP11, there's the antidote. But what is it affecting? I had this a second ago and now it won't let me see what it is. It won't give me the what it's influencing. It chopped off part of it and I can't get it back. I can't get over here to see what's really going on. I don't know why, and I can't move it over. Can I open it further? No, it won't even open. But I know I had that open a second ago. Roberta, do you remember where I had it open?
I think it was right there, but you could close it out and open it back up. It might come back up.
Even the file that I had it in has disappeared. Oh, it's still doing the same thing. ORF6, I just can't get over there. No, it's just taking me to the next one up. That is just too weird. It's in the original. Won't let me do it. Oh, I got a little bit there. Oh, but let me move it a little bit, but not much. But in the original, which I will have them send all of you, you can look up what it's affecting. Is it your eyes? Is it your circulation? Is it insulin? What is that particular spike protein going to affect? Because the name of them is over here. I just can't get to the name. Even that way, it won't let me get to it. Something unusual and freakish always happens when I'm trying to show these things.
One thing you could try to do, Sherry, is if you could highlight that the column on the left, whichever column you want, line over here and right there, and make it so it's right justified in that column, just for demonstration purposes. That might help.
Ah, yes, that worked. Brilliant. Okay. NSP11, spike protein associated with estrogen lungs and ammonia, and you had high ammonia. Wow. And NSP6, was it? No, 4 was the other one. Associated with homocysteine and methyltransferase. So if you get this and it starts to do that on you, just justify it like Roberta suggests, and then you can see what's going to be affected. Well, I'm hoping that all of you can do that. Use Audacity, take a print, go sign up for the portal, and you have 2 weeks for free to do whatever you need, and you can test people. We added nutrition, muscles, and we added Corona to what you can get for free for 2 weeks. And then go in, choose Corona, look at their voice, open this article, go to online tone generator, and you have your antidotes. And let us know what happened. We have a lot of people who contacted us. They say they can breathe easier. That's a big one. They have more energy. Fatigue is a big thing that's happening with Corona and Delta also. So we wanted to answer some questions now. We have about a half hour to answer questions. Anybody put any questions in the chat? I'll just go through what has been sent to us. I just had these videos up. These are some of the things we sent out. This is a video that we did, and also we have 3 recent videos. So I put this in the chat for people, and we'll also put it up for the recording. Okay, here are some of the questions that came in. I've had my first dose of Pfizer, and I don't think I'm able to skip out on the second one. Although I can't escape the next jab, how do I protect myself? Is there a way to excrete what has been injected so that I can end up in a cycle that doesn't destroy my body. You know, when we started putting this out, the first thing was quercetin, vitamin D, zinc. What was the other one? You can go back to the articles and look at what we put out as nutrients to protect yourself. We could go back. I know we put all of these out. They're all in these articles in Corona Corner. I think vitamin D is really important, but we give you the nutrition program, and it'll also identify it in the coronavirus software that you run. It will identify the nutrients that you need. Should we go back and look at Roberta? I already logged in. We should be in already. So we can go back and look at Roberta. And this is the one that we just did today. So let's go to evaluations and open that. And there's our list. So let's look at vitamins. Maybe we should look at nutrients. B12 is high. And we have a green sheet that will tell you, what do you do if B12 is high? Not worry about it much because it's water soluble, but I'll show you anyway what we teach people to do. So we have something called a pastel folder and a nutrient assimilation chart. And this tells you what components are needed. If a nutrient is high, what do you need to make it work? Iron, calcium, sodium. Now remember, the frequency for calcium is in stress today. Sodium, potassium, vitamin C, calcium's intrinsic factor. So we should look for some of those in her case. Now we know that COVID also messes with your iron. I'll move this up here so we can come back to it. Oh, why won't that move? So we would want to look at everything. B3 is really, really important. It's low. B3 keeps your blood from coagulating, especially from fat. So for all of this, I've been taking a couple of B3s a day because I do have a blood clotting issue. So we could go down through here and look by category also. A couple of spine things, a couple of amino acids. Aspartame is low. If a poison like aspartame is low, who cares? If the catechin is low, if you have an allergic reaction like itching or something, it won't stop it. Histamine is low. That's also an allergic reaction, hives or something like that. It's too low. We might want to bring that up. Glutathione has always been an issue with corona from the beginning. The fact that it's high, is it high because it's not useful? Is it high because her body is fighting? If we tested her on the frequencies for glutathione, and the peroxidase kind is the stomach one, the gut one, if she liked it, then it's high because her body's using it. If she didn't like it, it's too high and she can't use it. So let's go look at glutathione, which is an amino acid. And what makes it use is cysteine, glutamic acid, glycine to raise glutathione, and hers is too high. So she may have one of these that's non-existent, so it's causing the glutathione to be high. Look, methionine levels vitamin B3, and she had B3 too low. Necessary for transforming histidine to histamine. So she might want to add some B3. And you aren't allowed to suggest, you have to say, according to the literature, or according to my own case. So we want to take these lows and bring them up into normal. And remember, when we're looking at the wave, the gray part is the normal part. So these are all too low. It's probably the microphone. I'd redo her voice. This is a low. I don't recognize what these lows you would want to bring up. It's also automatic. If you may not have this on yours, but if you want to go to tone view, there's nothing. Oh, and export it. It will give you exactly the tones that you need to give somebody. That's just a shortcut so you don't have to do any other thinking. And we know sometimes this intimidates people who have math phobias. We try to put everything behind the lines, and you can give your person just the report of what's going on and what in priority is a report. So this is Roberta's report. This is instructions for using it. It says that glutathione peroxidase is a #1 issue. There's a little ranking over here I can't get to at the moment. But we can look at this in another way too. And if I just say, download this. Now this is what you would just bundle and send your client. So you can see these ones that is a high priority for her, even this NLR, I don't even know what that was. Functions as a pattern recognition receptor. We can go back and look at it. But there's NSP10 high, we want to bring that down with those spike formulas. And so they're underlined in blue, so that says there's a resource to it, and you can go look for it. So you can bundle it or you can print it, either one, when you're looking at it. We teach you how to use all of this portal stuff, and there's 20, 30 different tutorials in the catalog and on the portal that will teach you to do this. Corona corner, so let's go look. We don't want to be there, we want to be at, you can go to support, and here are all the tutorials that you can use so you don't have to go through us, and you can learn to do this. I think it's around $20 a month to be on the portal at the beginning level. And then the more advanced you get, the more databases you use, then it costs a little more. But you can do most of what you do right on the portal, and you don't have to go through the advanced course. That's for researchers only. If you want to help us research, or if you want to teach, we have you go through all the background information so you can troubleshoot. Troubleshoot is really important in what's going on. And you can mix and match these. If we thought we wanted to look at her nutrients along with Corona. I just put in nut. And so this says NSYNC, which is really about diet. 290 hits, 50's high. Autism, this is mostly about the digestion problems in autism. And I would think that since she has a peroxidase glutathione, that might be an issue. We could put that in. You can put brain. I'm just going to put in Corona. And if I could spell it there, R. And vitamin. And this will show several databases for vitamins. So there's the corona conflicts. Dystonia, tremors, shingles. Gravity is a big one for right now. People who are allergic to the corona shots have gravity problems, iron problems. So vitamin T-A-M-I-N. I wanted to look at some stem cells, if it would bring that up. And why isn't it? That is just too weird. How about just vitamin? And see what comes up. Did somebody remove the vitamin programs? There's 2 pages of them. There's not a third page. The vitamin stuff, it looks like it's missing.
Maybe you could go to all templates.
Yeah. Good thought, Roberta. All templates give me a shorter list. Something has mattered. The portal was down for a couple days and they had to restart things. All templates. Just chose the wrong thing.
It's not choosing all templates, so there might still be a problem.
I will let him know as soon as we get off the air. Okay, so look at the nutrients that are in the coronavirus or the corona complex. B3, an important one. If it turns up that one of those says it interferes with blood clotting, then B3 is going to be an important one. D, from the literature, D, and Mercola says stuff as much glycine in your system that you can. And with, let's do this with glycine. Okay, we have a map on here that'll show you where the glycine is. It'll be BHMT. It's a little map here. And that's one of the first things I check on people is the Krebs cycle. Right here is where the glycine shows up as a problem, dimethylglycine and trimethylglycine. And he says, anybody who gets the corona and they already have problems with glyphosate, the toxin, they're going to have problems here. So stuff yourself with as much glycine as you can tolerate. And just look online for glycine, how much you should take, what would be an overdose would look like. Okay, so it looks like nutrients, good health, run the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle is here is very instrumental in getting your cells, the mitochondrial, the energy, the furnace of the cell to get up and fight. You'll see a lot of problems here with cancer and the body's attacked or allergies or energy. Go do a map. And that's really easy to do. You just go here. Choose another database. Let's see if it'll let me choose map. This is methylation mapping. And it's one of the first things you do to get your body up and fighting. This one has the most hits, so we'll go with it. And this will show us homocysteine is one I can see right away. It's low, can be recycled into methionine. The bioavailable form of methionine is SAMe, S-A-M-E. Glutathione, phosphocreatinine, angiotensin 2, pyruvate low. That's a tremendous energy thing. Isocitrate, MTHFR, that's a precursor to BHMT. That's a biggie. SAHH, that's sulfur. Tumor protein, high, I'd want to look at that. MTR, I'd want to look at that. So what we do and teach you in class is we give you a clean map a clean methylation map, and we got permission from Amy Yasko to go look at this. Oh, that's not big enough. Okay, we've got all these little red circles down there. We should be able to move them, but you can't. But she had homocysteine, which is here, and SAHH, that's part of sulfur. This is part of sulfur, angiotensin. I want to find a clean map that I can use, because this is a great service that you can show. Oh, that's an old one that you can help your clients with and give them something tangible to take to their health food store. Well, here's somebody else's map. No. Yeah, you can see how I've marked it with the red. This is not Roberta's, this is somebody else's. But you can see this is the main problem. This is where most of the red are. And we should be able to move these, like with Amy's or with Roberta's. She had this isocitrate, which is in here. And she had homocysteine. This is part of the materials you get in class. She had SAHH. Sulfur is a really important one to help the body fight off any incoming pathogens. She had a homocysteine, so that's the way you'd be able to use that map when we teach you what these things are. AmyYasko.com, Y-A-S-K-O. She has a free book about this. Go there and download it. And she also has a free index and ways to use this map. She had, Roberta had the MTH, this one, which is the precursor here to this BHMT. It sounds like a lot. I have a stupid old ancient degree in dietetics. I had to throw everything away and learn anew when I started looking at Amy Yasko's stuff. So I hope I have answered that question. Let's look at, I marked several. This resonates with me, but was wondering if you could please expand on the body as a matrix of math. It's a matrix of math based on Pythagorean theory of harmonics. And we just look at the way the body uses math. And in ancient times and in modern times, like now they know that they can put a certain signal on a piece of metal and know whether that metal is going to crack or not before they use it in a really important bridge. They just use the frequencies. They've used this also in the Bible and taking down the walls of Jericho. Jill Madsen has done some research showing that certain formulas of frequency begin to resonate with the walls of Jericho, and just like breaking a glass with your singing, you can break a wall of Jericho with certain frequencies. So we have written a lot about there's articles about it in your literature and information, several articles, math as, Well, I know I've written several articles about math. Send me your email, whoever this is, and I will send you those articles. Our brains are a CPU, and we already talked about that a little bit. Which calcium is best to replenish? Calcium carbonate, calcium chloride, or calcium acetate? We would only know that by looking at your chart, because everybody's using this different one. Do I need special order to take voice recordings from newscasters on the internet? One, just in using your computer and do line out and line right back in to your Audacity. And they're little 1/4-inch microphone jacks. You can probably get them on Amazon, but jack it out of your computer and then right back into your computer and have Audacity waiting there when you play it, and it'll pick it up without any interference from your computer. Okay, so you just import an audio and say it's playing, and it'll start recording it right from your inside your computer to inside your computer again, from one playing portion to one recording portion. So that's the best way to do that. Is there an antidote to the graphene oxide that has been reported in the Yes, there is. I have not decoded it yet, but if you want to be on our mailing list, just let us know, because there's 400 and some people signed up for this class. So that is a question we will answer as notes for this class and just send it back out to people. When does the healing from low frequency sound occur? Only during listening, or are they Yes, there is an accumulated effect. We have one guy that's been on sound for 15 years. He had emphysema. They told him he was going to die. We helped him reestablish his lungs, and now he uses sound 1 hour a month just to make sure that emphysema and destroying his lungs doesn't come back. And Frank Huber is his name. And there's another one in one of our videos called Energy Medicine. You can find those in your class materials, and that comes with the guest level as well as the technician level. And yes, there's an accumulated effect. When the effect begins to wear off, use another dose of sound. People with broken bones, they need to use the sound about a half hour, and then they can do without it a couple of days. And as the bone heals, the body needs it less and less. That was a good question. Can a voice print help to assess if anyone has picked up COVID? Yes, we just demonstrated that. Do you have an inverse frequency for COVID? Yes, we do, but you'd have to be a practitioner before we'd provide that to you. It is an A sharp, and we released that in December of 2019. And we released it to our practitioners, and we have a map of practitioners. You can become a practitioner. We don't have enough trainers and teachers. We really would like to have local people do classes for a local group. And we start out with the NanoVoice and teaching them to do that, because that's a great foundation for whatever is happening. Can someone overdose on a particular frequency? Absolutely. And it feels like you want to fight. You feel very anxious, jittery. We have a whole list. Let's see if I can find them. Positive and negative reactions, yes. So we try to give people sounds, and we want to see their reactions. A pulse oximeter is the best reaction, but if you have nothing else, check their pulse. If it's a bad sound, the pulse will go up 6 points. And you can wear a little exercise watch to do that. So positive reactions, let me make this bigger. and negative reactions. So we just try to watch these when we give people their sounds. And that comes, all that information comes with the class. Does a vocal print tell you which musical notes need to be balanced, or is it based on frequency only? Okay, if we use Nano, let me find one on here, NanoVoice, expanded Nano for beginners. Okay, I'll just open a Nano. And we tell people no reading, no reciting, no counting numbers. But you simply click the mic and then identify your mic and say, okay, let's go here. Let's see what's going on. It's not picking up much. I don't know if my mic is not working well or what is really going on. But it picked up a 27 here on wanting to control. This is the control octave. And B is for the good of the universe. It's also nerves, 60, 75. So mostly I'm speaking in the note of B right now. So you can tell where it clicks up, but there you can say I'm in an intellectual mode in the note of B, and I'm in an emotional mode for the note of F sharp. And F sharp, if you look back at the grid, F sharp is a balance between perception and action. It can mean a lot of other things too. It's the lower back. It's male sexuality. Let me see if I can find the chart here real quick. Well, I can't. Note correlate. This a note correlate chart comes out automatically when you do the print. So here's that note of F sharp, blood filtering and screening, one who carries out plans, a doer, intuitive about the needs of others, shares, balance between perception and action. This is the plan, F, and F sharp is getting the plan together, mentally planning it, and G is making it concrete. G sharp is running it. A sharp is adding other people to it. So if you talk to an architect, which would be E, you told him what you wanted, he puts it in a format, you look at it, you agree with it, you build it, and maybe it's an apartment house. This person starts allowing people to be housed in the apartments. And B is on the lookout for humanity. It's also nerves. So there's a physical side as well as an emotional side to all that is going on. Okay, I think there's one more question. Can someone overdose? Yes. I did that one. We did what type of calcium? We did the newscaster one. Is there a chart of biochemicals and their corresponding notes? Yes, there is, but we don't release it to the public. We have it here. We had a lady poisoned recently, and you can see poison by a real uppy lump spike is usually a trauma poison. I don't know if I have Poison. We teach you all of these different poison scalp. See if this will come up. It came up over here. So this is what poisons look like, and we didn't have anything to correspond with that. So we went back to the biochemical database, and we found that online, by the way, just a biochemical database and its frequencies. And we were able then to identify that she had aspartame. She had taken aspartame and overdosed herself, and it melted her guts, her lining up. Well, this is, he melted the guts of lining of his guts, and that was what was causing all of the commotion. She'd been poisoned with some kind of a chemical that we could identify as aspartame, a couple other things too, but it didn't make sense that she'd be exposed to it. So yes, we teach you all of these architectures and what to tell about a chart. We are hoping that all of you are intrigued. We're hoping that you'll join us at least for the free class. We try to put this together so that nobody would be left out. So you could take the free class, do charts for people, make enough money to buy your microphone or your next class up, and go from there. My rose-colored wish is a bioacoustic center in every community and ongoing bioacoustic classes to help people solve their issues, find out who they are, know their neighbor, help their community, help their family. I've helped my family tremendously with 2 accidents where they busted their legs up, and I've been able to help. I love it that we can use the Corona tone box to help people who are in Corona stress, and that's a big one. And I'll do a separate class for everybody if they would like that, a Corona class, so everybody can learn how to do that for your community. I think we need to get up and stand up and do it on our own so that nobody has dominion over our health but us. Our body belongs to us. Maybe that started with, let's make suicide illegal. And so therefore your body belongs to the state in that case. You are not allowed to kill it. Well, nobody knows on the other side what death is. It's supposition. What if it's wonderful? What if, well, there's a quote by a nun that I really love. When my mother was dying, I read a novel to her about this nun. And she was in New Guinea or something and helping lots of other people. And she was the only medical person around. And this guy interviewing her said, aren't you afraid you'll get sick and there'll be nobody here to help and you'll die? And she said, death is God's reward for living a life. I love that. It brought such peace. How do we know what's on the other side? But while we're here, let's stay healthy. Healthy people think better, they fight better, they have more stamina. And one of the things that's happening now is sick people can't fight. Sick people can't think. A whole nother session, because we're out of time here, of who I think is behind all of this Corona stuff. We've traced it back. We think we know the answer. And I gave the answer on a show Tuesday, I believe. It was Common Sense Show with Dave Hodges. And I announced from the vocal prints that I've done who is behind this Corona fiasco. So I'm doing this in the hopes of helping create a better life for you, your family, your community, and the world, and the universe beyond. I want to make a difference, and I want you to be the person in power of your own health. Thank you for listening. This has been fun. Please stay in touch. Go check out the portal, Sound Health Portal, and see what your voice says about you today. I appreciate you for being here and wanting to make a difference.